My name is Patty, and this is our Puppycam. So thanks for joining us. This is a bit of a test, I guess, so please, if you're watching, why don't you write me a post and give me a little bit of feedback. I do like feedback. This litter that we have, this is our latest North Star litter. Hello, baby. And this is Ruby, right here. Hello. And this is Lyle. Here, Lyle, turn around. And then we have back here, we have Tigger, and we have Lucy, and we have Lacey. So, let's see. I'm going to be talking a little bit this morning about our breeding program, which I really believe is the heart of our work at North Star. 15 years ago, when we started to develop the concept of North Star, my son Danny had an autism assistance dog. They called it a social dog at the time, from CCI. And this dog, whose name was Madison, was very helpful to us. And while the placement reaped many benefits, social, emotional, and educational benefits, still it's what didn't work in the placement that taught us the most. And of course, this is how it often goes. And so we took the mistakes that were made, such as the difficulty we had with Danny bonding with Madison to start. Madison initially was over the moon about my husband, Ron, and it took me years to figure that one out, but now it makes intuitive sense. Madison was raised as a pup, believing the person who raised him was a single middle-aged gentleman who worked as an engineer, and he brought Madison to work with him. That was his puppy raiser. And so, of course, Madison grew up with an inclination to listen to and love men. And so when my husband entered the picture, and wasn't he happy, Madison was over the moon about him. We had to really work hard at getting Madison to at first tolerate and then work with not just Danny, but my other 3 children. So when we started thinking about North Star's work, we started thinking about not just breeding specifically for this assistance work with children, as CCI certainly has a wonderful breeding program, and Madison was very well bred with a very, very lovely temperament, as do these puppies have. But also, we wanted to raise these puppies and socialize them carefully to work with children with autism. Now, this socialization and the importance of socialization in this work, I don't think is widely understood as yet, right? But it has been my experience in the 125 placements that we put together in our last decade of incorporation, it's been my experience that it's both nature as well as nurture that gives us the highest degrees of success. Now, 80% of the placements we make come from our in-house breeding program of Goldens. We have several Golden lines. Some are a little bigger than others, some a little more outgoing, whereas other lines are more mellow and steady. And the reason why that's important is that the children that we serve have a wide variety of needs to be met, because you know what they say, if you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. And the amount of children that I've met, it is reinforced every day how different that they are. And so you need different kinds of pups, different kinds of temperament. For instance, if you had a young withdrawn child, you might want a dog that's a little lively, because you need to capture their attention. Tigger, hello, this is Tigger. Tigger's going to Canada. And if you have a child that is older and very active, you might want a pup with more of a steady Eddie temperament. Once, I call this temperamental fit, by the way, and I think it's a very important concept. Once we get the temperamental fit down, then comes the real work. And the work is to get the pup to the child that we are serving. Now, we serve children all over the world. The farthest away we've ever gone was New Zealand, which was a lot of fun. But most of our placements are around the country. And we strive to have our pups in the town where their children live by the time the pups are 4 months of age, so that the children can begin to be taught while the pup is being trained, and they can both be socialized together. Now, some of the things you're seeing as I'm talking are the puppies interacting. And one of the reasons I like pups is because they like me. So they all want to jump on my lap. They're taking nice turns. They're not being growly with each other. If you raise a litter and try to meet their needs, and not just need for food and water, but for attention and training, keep them mentally stimulated, then what you'll find is that you'll have a dog that will have less, if any, resource guarding, which is something that is not a good trait for a dog to have that's going to work with children. Very nice. He offered me a nice default sit. This is a new toy. Right. Right. Good. Good, good. Nice. See how he sat? That is not a function, it might be partly a function of the genetics in that these guys are really smart, but the reason they sit for good things has more to do with socialization at this point than training. This Wellman box that I'm sitting in, you can't see, and thank goodness you can't because my kitchen's messy, but it's right in my kitchen, and every time I or any of my children walk by, we'll reach in and we'll pet the pups. But we'll only pet the pups that are sitting. So after a few weeks, and when these guys were far smaller, we'd walk into the room and all the pups would snap to a sit. So I didn't do that through training, but socialization, and that's really the name of the game for this first year of life. Training will become more important when North Star dogs are about a year of age, maybe a little bit before. And that's if they're going for public access. You have to have some highly trained dogs. But even then, socialization is important. And let's talk about meeting and greeting, which I really think is one of the biggest benefits that our dogs can offer a family. They need to sit quietly for the attention. Yeah, I said quietly. Come here. You need to sit quietly for the attention that they receive from people. And in this case, the simple act of holding a sit stay or a down stay is, of course, not too complicated, but what this affords the child is being able to have a speech therapy session wherever the child and the dog might wander. And the reason this is, hey, excuse me, I'm talking, excuse me, come here. The reason this is because children with autism will sometimes act differently in public and in ways that don't necessarily get them positive attention there. They might flap their hands, they might make unusual noises, especially if they're anxious, and children with autism are often anxious in public. But if a child with autism is partnered with a dog like this, that has a North Star vest, the color of dark green, which is the color of therapy, then people around this child understand there's a concern. They might not automatically think autism yet. That's my job, trying to educate. But however, they will know that there's something up, and if the child has a meltdown, starts to cry or yell loudly, people are not going to judge the parents, or most people, and they're going to cut the child some slack. If the child is feeling happy and social, then more likely than not, people will come up and on the North Star vest it reads, "Please ask to pet me." And most people will do that in a very nice way. Now what we advise our families to do at that point is to treat it like a therapy session. So you can try to expand the conversation that their child has with the people that they meet and greet with their dog there. And ultimately the child can perhaps ask the person, "Do you have a dog? What's your dog's name?" To make it an interactive conversation. So in this way, the North Star dog is not just seen as a tool for the child's speech development, but it's also seen as a golden bridge to allow typically developing people to overcome their fear of differences and their social boundaries, to come up and say hello to a child with autism in a way that makes sense for them. Not necessarily your typical child, but for them. Hello.